Hello students. Today we are going to start with the second chapter of history, that is from hunting gathering to growing food. First of all, let us know who were hunter gatherers. We know about people who lived in the subcontinent as early as 2 million years ago. Today we describe them as hunter gatherers. The name comes from the way in which they got their food. Generally, they hunted wild animals, caught fish and birds, gathered fruits, roots, nuts, seeds, leaves, etc. There were at least four reasons why hunter gatherers moved from one place to another. The first reason was that if they had stayed at one place for a long time, they would have eaten up all the available plant and animal resources. Therefore, they would have had to go elsewhere in search of food. The second reason was animals move from place to place, either in search of small prey or in the case of deer and wild cattle in search of grass and leaves. That is why those who hunted them had to follow their movements. Now, third reason was that plants and trees bear fruit in different seasons. So people may have moved from season to season in search of different kind of plants. The fourth reason was that people, plants and animals, they all needed water to survive. Water is found in lakes, streams and rivers obviously, while many rivers and lakes are perennial, that is with water throughout the year. Others are seasonal. People living on their banks would have had to go in search of water during the dry season, that is winter and summer. Besides, people may have traveled to meet their friends and relatives. Now, the next question arises is, how do we know about early people, about these people? Now, archaeologists have found some of the things hunter gatherers made and used. It is likely that people made and used tools of stone, wood, and bone, of which stone tools have survived best. Now, some of these stone tools were used to cut meat and bone, scrape bark from trees, and hides from animal skins, chop fruit and roots. Some may have been attached to handles of bones or wood to make spears and arrows for hunting. Other tools were used to chop wood, which was used as firewood. Wood was also used to make huts and tools. Now, the next thing to discuss is, where did early man live, or how did they chose a place to live in? Now, over here you can see this map. All the places marked with red triangle are sites from which archaeologists have found evidence of hunter gatherers. Hunter gatherers lived in many more places, only some are shown in this map. Many sites were located near source of water such as rivers and lakes. As stone tools were important, people tried to find places where good quality stone was easily available. Now, coming over to the point of sites, what actually sites mean? Now, sites are places where the remains of things, that is, tools, pots, buildings, etc., were found. These were made, used, and left behind by people. These may be found on the surfaces of the earth, buried under the earth, or sometimes even under water. You will learn more about these different sites in later chapters, but this is what sites mean. Now, a major discovery at that time was the discovery of fire by the human being. Now, traces of ash have been found in the Kurnool caves. This suggests that people were familiar with the use of fire. Fire could have been used for many things as a source of light, to cook meat, and to scare away wild animals. It was also used by the early man to keep himself warm in winters. Now, the period when mostly stone tools were made is known as the Stone Age. Now, this Stone Age is divided into three parts. First is Paleolithic or Old Stone Age, Mesolithic or Middle Stone Age, and Neolithic or New Stone Age. The earliest period was known as the Paleolithic period. This word Paleolithic comes from two words from in which first word paleo means old and lithos means stone. The name points to the importance of finds of stone tools. The Paleolithic period extends from 2 million years ago to about 12,000 years ago. This long stretch of time is divided into the lower, middle, and upper Paleolithic period. This long span of time covers 99% of human history. The period when we find environmental changes beginning about 12,000 years ago till about 10,000 years ago is called the Mesolithic or the Middle Stone Age. Stone tools found during this period are generally tiny and are called microliths. Microliths were probably stuck onto handles of bone or wood to make tools such as saws and sickles. At the same time, older varieties of tools continued to be in use. The next stage, from about 10,000 years ago, is known as the Neolithic Age or the New Stone Age. Now, another thing that we have to discuss is about the changing environment. Now, around 12,000 years ago, there were major changes in the climate of the world with a shift to relatively warm conditions. In many areas, this led to the development of grasslands. This in turn led to an increase in the number of deer, antelope, goat, sheep, and cattle, that is, those animals that survived on grass. Those who hunted these animals now followed them, learning about their food habits and their breeding seasons. This helped people to start thinking about herding and rearing these animals themselves. Fishing also became important part of life. Now let's move on to our next topic in this chapter, that is the beginning of farming and herding. Now, this was also a time when several grain bearing grasses, including wheat, barley, and rice, grew naturally in different parts of the subcontinent. Men, women, and children probably collected these grains as food and learned where they grew and when they ripened. This may have led them to think about growing plants on their own. In this way, people became farmers. People could also attract and then tame animals by leaving food for them near their shelters. The first animal to be tamed was the wild ancestor of the dog. Later, people encouraged animals that were relatively gentle to come near the camps where they lived. These animals, such as sheep, goat, cattle, and also the pig, lived in herds and most of them ate grass. Often, people protected these animals from attacks by other wild animals. This is how they became herders. Now, this process of taming the animals is known as domestication. Domestication is the name given to the process in which people grow plants and look after animals. Very often, plants and animals that are tended by people become different from wild plants and animals. This is because people select plants and animals for domestication. For example, they select those plants and animals that are not prone to disease. They also select plants that yield large size grain and have strong stalks capable of bearing the weight of the ripe grain. Seeds from selected plants are preserved and sown to ensure that new plants and seeds will have the same qualities. Amongst animals, those that are relatively gentle are selected for breeding. As a result, gradually, domesticated animals and plants become different from wild animals and plants. For example, the teeth and horns of wild animals are usually much larger than those of domesticated animals. Domestication was a gradual process that took place in many parts of the world. It began about 12,000 years ago. Virtually all the plant and animal produce that we use as food today is a result of domestication. Some of the earliest plants to be domesticated were wheat and barley. The earliest domesticated animals include sheep and goat. Now, at that time, a major invention by the human being was of wheel. This revolution in early man's life was something very important. Wheel transformed man's life. It helped in traveling and carrying heavy objects from one place to another, and it also made things faster. Now, this life of the early man was a new way of life because he became a farmer and herder from a hunter gatherer. Now, if you plant a seed, you will notice that it takes some time to grow. This may be for several days, weeks, months, and in some cases, years. When people began growing plants, it meant that they had to stay in the same place for a long time, looking after the plants, watering them, weeding, driving away animals and birds till the grain ripened. And then the grain had to be used carefully. As grain had to be stored for both food and seed, people had to think of ways of storing it. In many years, they began making large clay pots or wove baskets or dug pits into the ground. Now, these large clay pots were made with the help of potter's wheel, which helped them to make pots of different shapes and sizes as per their requirement. This clay pottery was shaped by hand and baked in fire. Now, early man used to tame a lot of animals. Among them, some were there who, if looked after carefully, provided milk, which is an important source of food, and meat whenever required. In other words, animals that are reared can be used as a store of food. Now, in the previous map which you saw, there were certain blue squares on that. Each of them marks a site from where archaeologists have found evidence of early farmers and herders. These are found all over the subcontinent. Some of the most important ones are in the northwest, in present day Kashmir, and in east and south India. Now, to find out whether these sites were settlements of farmers and herders, scientists study evidence of plants and animal bones. One of the most exciting finds include remains of burnt grain. These may have burned accidentally or on purpose. Scientists can identify these grains, and so we know that a number of crops were grown in different parts of the subcontinent. They can also identify the bones of different animals. Now, the question arises, how do we know about farmers and herders? Now, over here, Archaeologists have found traces of huts or houses at some sites. For instance, in Burzahom in present day Kashmir, people built pit houses which were dug into the ground with steps leading into them. These may have provided shelter in cold weather. Archaeologists have also found cooking hearths both inside and outside the huts, which suggests that depending on the weather, people could cook food either indoors or outdoors. Stone tools have been found from many sites as well. Many of these are different from the earliest Paleolithic tools, and that is why they are called Neolithic. These include tools that were polished to give a fine cutting edge, and mortars and pestles used for grinding grain and other plant produce. Mortars and pestles are used for grinding grain even today, several thousands years later. At the same time, tools of the Paleolithic types continued to be made and used, and remember, some tools were also made of bone. Many kinds of earthen pots have also been found. These were sometimes decorated and were used for storing things. People began using pots for cooking food, especially grains like rice, wheat, and lentils that now became an important part of the diet. Besides, they began weaving cloth using different kinds of materials, for example, cotton, that could now be grown. Though in many areas, men and women still continued to hunt and gather food, and elsewhere, people adopted farming and herding slowly over several thousand years. Besides, in some cases, people tried to combine these activities, doing different things during different seasons. Now, if we talk about Mehergarh, let's have a closer look towards Mehergarh. Now, in the previous map, you must see where is Mehergarh. Now, this site is located in a fertile plain near the Bolan Pass, which is one of the most important routes into Iran. Mehergarh was probably one of the places where women and men learned to grow barley and wheat and rear sheep and goats for the first time in this area. It is one of the earliest villages that we know about. Archaeologists who excavated the site found evidence of many kinds of animal bones from the earliest level. These included bones of wild animals such as the deer and pig. In later levels, they found more bones of sheep and goat, and in still later levels, cattle bones are most common, suggesting that this was the animal that was generally kept by the people. Other finds at Mehergarh included remains of square or rectangular houses. Each house had four or more compartments, some of which may have been used for storage. When people die, their relatives and friends generally pay respect to them. People look after them, perhaps in the belief that there is some form of life after death. Burial is one such arrangement. Several burial sites have been found at Mehergarh. In one instance, the dead person was buried with goats, which were probably meant to serve as the food in the next world. So, students, we have done with this chapter of history. Read this chapter very thoroughly and do ask questions from this chapter if you have any kind of problem. अगर आपको कोई भी प्रॉब्लम इस चैप्टर में आ रही है, क्वेश्चंस अपने आप मेंशन कर सकते हैं कमेंट सेक्शन में इस वीडियो के नीचे. आई विल आंसर दोज क्वेश्चंस. थैंक यू.